All right, you guys, welcome to April. It's my favorite month of the year because I was born in it. And also, I just love the spring. I've also come to terms with something. God has ordained it that I am simply not allowed to have a peaceful end of pregnancy. That's just like, it's kind of like a running theme. And also, Lent season, be crazy, always for me. It just cannot be. Thou shalt not. I don't know why. I am afforded no peace. I'm just going to accept that. I feel like right now in my life, I need a YouTuber who's like dedicated to me in the same way that Britney Spears fan was dedicated to her many moons ago when he made this video. Remember this?
Leave Britney alone! Please.
That's what I need right now. I need someone to just go live and be like, leave Candace alone. Just let her be pregnant. Please. But no, instead I have you guys. Apparently you're all too emotionally stable to do anything like that. Anyways, it is true. I got hit by another process server yesterday at my house with news of another lawsuit. I'm going to tell you guys all about it. Also, I spoke with Olivia Nuzzi, RFK Jr.'s sexting partner, briefly. Interesting. I'll tell you about that when we get to the comments. And the Trump administration is basically adopting a BLM position on anti-Semitism. I hate to say it, but I have to say it because it's true. And I'm not a sycophant. So let's get started and welcome back to Candace. So obviously you guys know that we do this show live every single day. And just so you know, at the conclusion of every episode, I basically unplug my phone from the wall right there. And there's always these random explosions. I just feel like this is the hour where a lot of stuff happens in my life. Like I'll open a text message and it'll be something about Brigitte Macron or the White House is calling or this or that, or something's happened to the kid at school. It's crazy. I get stressed about it. Well, yesterday, I unplug my phone from the wall, and I see a text message from my husband, and he says, call Noah. Someone tried to serve the house. And I've told you guys about Noah before. He's been my lawyer for 5+ years now, and he has seen a lot throughout that time. I'm assuming I have to be his most interesting client because there's just no way. I mean, there's just no way that I'm not his most interesting client. Anyways, I see this message from my husband, and I'm just genuinely like, why? Why? Less than 5 weeks of pregnancy to go. I'm effectively walking around carrying a bowling ball every single day. Like, I just don't need any more drama. I'm about to go on like an early maternity leave. I'm just going to leave you guys tomorrow, okay? And I'm actually so glad in retrospect that I was recording live when this process server came by, because I'm getting to that like angry phase of pregnancy. You know, I just want to beat somebody up right now, just real bad. I just want to go at somebody. And I feel like if I had answered the door, like if it was me, that poor gentleman who was just the messenger would have accidentally been transported into the movie 300, which is like my favorite movie ever. You know, when the messenger comes at the beginning of the movie to deliver news to King Leonidas and his Spartan wife, and the messenger's like playing all friendly, but low key, there's a war brewing. Yeah, I'll jog your memory. Take a listen.
Before you speak, Persian, know that in Sparta, everyone, even a king's messenger, is held accountable for the words of his voice. Now, what message do you bring?
Earth and water.
You rode all the way from Persia for earth and water.
Do not be coy or stupid, Persian. You can afford neither in Sparta.
What makes this woman think she can speak among men?
Because only Spartan women give birth to real men.
That was going to be me yesterday, guys. I was literally, this guy, if he had given it to me, I would have said, only Spartan women can give birth to real men. And he would have been like, ma'am, this is Nashville, Tennessee. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I wouldn't have cared because I'm at that point right now. I just want to do hood rat stuff with my friends. Anyway, so I ran a poll on Instagram this morning to see if you guys could guess what the lawsuit was pertaining to. And here are the results. Here was first off, what I asked. I said, this is a lawsuit pertaining to, and these are the 4 options I gave: Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's trial, Harvey Weinstein's upcoming trial, Kanye, yay, and his wife, or Brigitte Macron's penis. All of these things are very real in my life right now. And here is what you guys came back with. The overwhelming majority thought that it was related. 36% of you thought that it was related to Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's trial. Second place was Brigitte Macron's penis. Then came Harvey Weinstein, and last place was Ye. Well, guess what, guys? The correct answer was Ye. I am being subpoenaed for 5 years of text messages between myself and the artist formerly known as Kanye West in a lawsuit which has been filed by a former employee of his named Trevor Phillips. And the specific words and or messages, and by the way, 5 years is a long window. It's a very long time. We learned this in the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively lawsuit, okay? Like it's a wide net. And they're like, well, we need to see if you have any messages that are pertaining to or contain the following words. I am not kidding. This is the real email that Noah then forwarded to me after our conversation. It says, we received the attached document subpoena in the Trevor Phillips versus Yeezy, blah, blah, blah. They are looking for the following subjects in any communication from the last 5 years, okay? The Jewish religion or people, Jews, anti-Semitism, Black people, African Americans, Nazism, the N-word, and they're not clear on which word that is. There's a lot of N-words. Is it no? Is it nice? Is it near? I don't know what word they're talking about. Lawsuits filed against Ye, Yeezy LLC, the Donda Academy. Lawyers who have filed suit against Ye, Yeezy LLC, the Donda Academy. Hitler, the swastika emblem, the Holocaust, and or the slurs, BITCHs, hoes, and then the P word. P word, plural, too. So I call Noah, and I'm exasperated, okay? I say, what is this lawsuit about? Why am I being asked to do this task? This feels like a fishing expedition. And he tells me that there's this former employee of Kanye's who is a Black man who is suing Kanye for racism against Black people because he says that Kanye treated Black people worse than he treated the white people. I'm just telling you guys what I was told, okay? And also, as one component of this lawsuit, this former employee is alleging that Kanye also used a lot of anti-Jewish rhetoric in his presence. Still unclear of why I would be drafted into this lawsuit. I've never been an employee of Kanye, an employer of Kanye. And I just want to read you guys, just so you understand how not real my life is, I just want to read you guys directly from this filing, just a little portion of what's going on here, okay? This is what Trevor Phillips has lived through. And the challenge that I'm going to give you guys right now is nobody's allowed to laugh at this because this is a serious lawsuit that I'm being drafted into. This is what happened, according to Phillips. Phillips arrived to the exclusive and intimate Nobu Hotel in Malibu, California, around 9:40 p.m. The hotel staff greeted Phillips, asked him to wait in the lobby, and that Kanye was on his way. After about 20 minutes, Kanye appeared alone, wearing a black jacket and holding a black mask in his hand. It was the same outfit Kanye wore a day or two earlier during his interview with InfoWars conspiracist Alex Jones. The hotel staff escorted Phillips and Kanye to a small hotel room. Phillips, contemplating the strangeness of the circumstances, sat in a chair while Kanye opened the blinds out to the Pacific Ocean. Without a word said by either of them, Philip listened to the ocean waves while Kanye took his shoes off and sat on the bed. You're not going to believe what happens next. Suddenly, Ye grabbed the hotel phone and sternly told the operator, "I asked you to put on Batman. Come put on Batman now." Phillips remained quiet and baffled. A few moments later, the Nobu hotel staff arrived and they put on The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. Kanye lowered the volume to 0, and he and Phillips watched the movie in total silence. After a long and awkward silence, Kanye finally spoke again. Turning his attention back to Phillips, he began an unprovoked and bigoted rant attacking Jewish people, referencing the stereotype dating back to the Middle Ages that Jews are miserly, Kanye opined. These Jews are greedy. With sincerity, he professed, "I hate Jewish people." Rather than recognizing or repenting for his public remarks, he shifted blame on his misfortune to others. He said, quote, "Adidas did me wrong," end quote. Okay, so No, some people in the comments are asking if this is an April Fool's joke. No, this is not April Fool's. This is the lawsuit, a piece of a lawsuit that I'm being drafted into. I was not in this hotel room. I did not watch the Batman. I did not watch him yell at the staff about the Batman. In fact, I have not even seen this Batman. I've never seen this Batman in my life. And I will say, small part of me thinks that making somebody watch a movie on silent and not saying a word is a little bit of a power move, a little bit of power move. But I have nothing to do with this. So I said, Noah, I'm tired. Please get me out of this. I'm tired. I'm fat. Everybody just needs to chill, okay? And there has to be some legal argument that holds court that seems somewhat valid, some Latin term that we can use called quid pro Kanye. I feel like that's a plea that I could make, meaning yay. And I find it completely strange because the thing that Ye is known for, like the idea that you need to have access to 5 years of my text messages to know what Kanye West thinks is absurd. That is exactly what he's known for, constantly telling people what he thinks. He's the one person who actually can't just keep the thoughts in his head and he just says it. There's no decorum. He just says exactly what he thinks. You want to find out what he thinks about Jewish people? You can go to his Twitter feed. You want to find out what Kanye thinks? You can go to what he's wearing, okay? Have you guys ever, by the way, actually seen Kanye in a court hearing? I don't know if you've ever seen this before because his decorum does not change in the presence of a judge. It's just real footage of Kanye West at a deposition in which he decided he was just going to be on his phone. Take a listen.
I see that you're looking down at probably a device. Are you on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask as a ground rule that you not be on your phone during the exam. Can we agree to that?
Well, is that legally what it should be?
I'm not going to advise you as to the law. That's why your lawyers are here. But that is my ground rule for the deposition, consistent with California law, that you need to be present, focused on the examination and not on a device.
Due to my mental geniusness, in order to focus on this bullshit, I need to be on a phone.
It's real. This is all real. None of this is an April Fool's joke. So I just was like, whatever plea we have to make, as in, like, if you want to know what Kanye thinks, just ask him. Okay, you don't need anybody's messages. This is like, you're spending way too much money on this. He's currently walking around wearing a Black Klansman hoodie and a swastika chain. He just sat down for an interview with DJ Academics. And here is what he had to say.
How you doing, brother? Good, chill. That's crazy. Yeah, man. Kept it light. Kept it light, man. Wherever you want. You can sit right here. Yeah. What do you think? Okay. So, have you worn this out in public?
Nah, you know the funny thing is I really wanted to wear it yesterday, but I thought they would like put me in a hospital for my outfit.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like they would put me in the hospital for my outfit. So
again, you don't need to draft anyone into this lawsuit to know exactly what it is that Kanye West thinks. Anyways, while Noah is working to get me out of this absurd request that I have nothing to do with, I do not know who Trevor Phillips is. I was not there. I did not watch the Batman. Okay. I did not watch the Batman. I thought, though, while I received this, it might be a perfect time for me to formally address why I never discuss Ye in the media. Now that the media is not demanding that I respond, I'll actually respond to it. And one of the reasons is because the media has demanded it. You guys will never really know. Actually, you might when I someday write an autobiography. But what I was put through in my personal life when Ye tweeted DEFCON 3, it was insane. It was absolutely insane. And basically having my entire livelihood and life threatened on the basis of a tweet that I did not send, that I was not present for when somebody sent it, being told this was like life or death if I did not respond. And it put me, I was in such a bad place about it because I'm not a person that believes in betraying a friend or I guess hanging a friend out to dry when literally every single person in the world was commenting on Ye, canceling Ye, he was over, whatever. And then this miracle happened in the form of Dr. Ben Carson and I had just scheduled to interview him. I was working at Daily Wire at the time, and he just went into this diatribe about slave culture and speaking about how, and this was not related to Kanye West, but he was speaking about how there was this system on the plantations where they constantly tried to divide people and get them to realize that their worth, even though they were all slaves, was better because you were like a slave in the field or you were a slave in the house. And it gave me the courage to get through that situation without having to issue a sentence that they wanted so desperately and sadistically. He was losing everything, Adidas, but they were like, no, we need you to add on top of it. And then I fast forwarded a year from that, and there was this remarkable whiplash when I was being told that Kanye's tweet about DEFCON 3 was the most severe, horrific, terrible thing that could possibly happen, which it was a word. These were words. And then a year later, after October 7th happened, and Bibi Netanyahu literally executed DEFCON 3, I would say actually DEFCON 1 on Palestinians, that same exact media that was going to cancel me for refusing to comment on Ye's tweet, we're now going, okay, no, but you're not even allowed to comment on actual violence. So words are violence, but violence is not actually violence in this context. And if you show any emotion or any, a heart toward dead Palestinian kids, then we're going to cancel you. So it was just crazy. It was maddening to me to have seen how quickly the media had switched up and go, oh, this is so different. Then there's another element of this that to me has always felt like sheer deflection, meaning that the reason that I believe that they are constantly pursuing me speaking out against Kanye is because the things that Kanye has exposed, which I believe to be quite brave, are not issues that they want actually touched. So I've heard people say, oh, Candace, it's the hypocrisy. You said LeBron James should speak out on Diddy. Yeah, LeBron James was at the Diddy parties, okay? There are people drafting his name into lawsuits saying that he was there. He is on film saying there ain't no party like a Diddy party. And now you have all of these victims coming out and saying, this is what happened to me. I was drugged. You have all of this evidence that this is what they're handing out at Diddy's parties, all right? This is being trialed criminally in the courts. It's not hearsay. And LeBron James's silence really bothers me on that. I have not been present. I was not present whenever this Batman movie was played. People are like, are you going to comment on what his wife is wearing? I've never even met Bianca Censori. So it feels like you're trying to draft me into everything Kanye says and does, and I'm not interested in it. Because when I was actually interested in discussing that was of import to me, something that was of import for me, the media ignored it. And I will forever, I want to be very clear, I will forever respect Ye for what I believe he did, what I know he did, which was him revealing a sinister Hollywood government type MK Ultra program, which almost killed him, okay? The media has ignored this for so long. And as everybody calls him crazy and comments on what is going on, you are forgetting that Kanye came and provided evidence that they were, and as we have now learned, and we have learned about the MK Ultra program, we have read Chaos, as we reflect on JFK, as we reflect on RFK, Kanye came out and said, this happened to me. The cocktail of drugs, they tried to make me go crazy. When I came out and said that I supported Donald Trump, go find clips of Ye before that, before they put him in the hospital, and after they put him in the hospital. And then learn or ask yourself why it is that Harley Pasternak, who is involved in psychiatrics, we're going to get to all of that. And when Kanye presented a text message where he was threatening him, saying, I will take you to La La Land, that we ignored that. Why did we ignore somebody exposing a plausible CIA MK Ultra design that is still happening in Hollywood? We talk about what happened to Britney Spears. I think she got that full treatment. I think they quite literally drugged her out of her mind. And I think that they got damn close with Kanye, and he still recalls it. And he is telling us over and over again who did this to him, as well as providing textual evidence. So I don't really care for people to deflect about what his wife is wearing until we address the text messages that Kanye revealed to the world that no one wants to speak about. And I'm going to remind you of that, because Tucker Carlson did a brilliant monologue on that when he was back on Fox, of what Harley Pasternak said and what the threat was and what the media ignored. So this is a little long, but I think that you guys need to remember it. Take a listen.
So in the run-up to this week's midterm elections, there are a lot of celebrities out there campaigning for Democratic candidates all over the country. You probably saw them: actors, singers, TikTok personalities. all doing their part for the Democratic Party. You probably weren't surprised by this. It's normal. Pop culture figures always support Democrats. Every single one of them. But have you ever wondered why all of these supposedly creative people reach exactly the same conclusion every time? They're all on the same page. How could that happen? It's an interesting question. We don't know the answer, but you should consider what happened when one of the most famous singers in the world broke with the herd. On November 19th, 2016, a week and a half after Donald Trump won the presidential election, Kanye West, now known as Ye, held a concert in Sacramento. Most people in the audience were, of course, young people and presumably Hillary Clinton voters and presumably deeply disappointed by her loss a week and a half before. So in the middle of the show, West stopped performing and started talking about politics. Google lied to you, he said, by suggesting to its users that Hillary was going to win. Quote, Facebook lied to you. I'm not here to massage you with a fake truth telling you that Hillary's going to win over and over and over. You were lied to by Google. You were lied to by Mark Zuckerberg. Middle America, West continued, showed you how they felt. Well, at this point, some of the audience began to boo, but West kept going. He complimented Donald Trump repeatedly. At one point, he used the phrase, "Make America Great Again." It was, to put it mildly, not the kind of thing you normally hear at a rap concert. And then, 2 days later, Kanye West was in the hospital. Well, at the house of his family's exercise trainer, a man called Harley Pasternak, West apparently suffered some kind of mental break. Pasternak called an ambulance to pick him up. West was taken away, and then he was sedated with at least 7 different psychiatric medications, including benzodiazepines, lithium, sleeping pills, and olanzapine. News reports suggested that West had experienced a profound psychiatric episode. He'd gone completely off the deep end. He'd gone crazy, and they've been saying that ever since. West, over time, though, told a very different story. In his telling, after what he'd said on stage in Sacramento, Harley Pasternak was trying to shut him up. Pasternak, he said, was not simply a trainer, but instead an agent of ideological control. Pasternak's job was to keep West from straying from the script, and he's willing to use powerful drugs to do it. That's what he said. But very few people took that claim seriously. In fact, it was exactly the kind of thing a crazy person would say. My trainer drugged me into submission. He's trying to make me into a zombie. Right. Sure he did. Have another olanzapine shot, Kanye. You look tired. So that's where the story stood until the other day. Nobody believed Kanye West. Then West posted something remarkable on Twitter, which for some reason virtually all of American media ignored, which is odd because media outlets are not usually in the business of ignoring remarkable things, but they did. And what he posted was a picture of a text exchange that he had had with Harley Pasternak. Pasternak was explaining that West had better stop saying, quote, crazy stuff. In other words, he'd better get back on script, or else he would be severely punished. Quote, second option, if you don't shut up, quote, I have you institutionalized again, where they medicate the crap out of you, and you go back to zombie land forever. Play date with the kids just won't be the same. End quote. Try, if you can, to imagine a more sinister threat than that, a more chilling threat than that. Do what I say, or I will turn your brain to mush. I will destroy your relationship with your own children. I will send you back to, quote, zombie land forever. Effectively, I'll kill you. Now, keep in mind, this is from West's, quote, trainer, not his physician. This is the guy he'd hired to help him do squats. A trainer? Really? Did they talk like that at your gym? Probably not. So what's going on here exactly? Well, according to his bio, Harley Pasternak, who is not denied writing these texts, once worked for the Canadian military, where he participated in experiments that measured the effect of various drugs on the human mind. Is that training relevant to this story? We don't know. We do know that based on this text exchange, which again, Harley Pasternak has not said is untrue or fake, on the basis of that, law enforcement agencies definitely ought to be looking very closely at Harley Pasternak, who, by the way, apparently has dozens of other celebrity clients, some of whom seem to be out there campaigning. Based on these texts, this looks like a crime. Why is no one investigating it? The fact that no one is investigating it tells you a lot.
And so I want to be very clear that I have had conversations with Ye about what was done to him in that hospital, and I will never turn my back on him. I think he did one of the bravest things in the world. I think he survived. And a real effort to give him a cocktail of drugs to make him clinically insane. And we know that this cocktail of drugs exists. We know about Dr. Jolly West. We know about the CIA MK Ultra program. And for those of you that are part of my book club and have read Chaos, you understand how real that is. Yeah, that's just where I stand on it. And so you were asking me if Kanye was ever the same after Harley Pasternak got to him and institutionalized him. No, obviously Kanye changed, but Kanye remembers what happened to him. And the media, I believe, hates him because of that very reason, because Kanye has been telling people for years that Harley Pasternak is not just a gym trainer. And no one knows any gym trainer that texts you and threatens to institutionalize you and take you away from your kids that formerly worked for the military. Speaking of his celeb clients, just showing you some on his website here. That's a lot of people to be training at the gym. Everyone from Gwyneth Paltrow to Kim Kardashian, Katy Perry. Man, what's this guy's gym routine for someone with military training? I mean, literally, we could scroll forever and you could just see how many A-listers he manages at the gym. Some who I can't imagine have that great of a workout routine. And it really does make you wonder why we are always getting the same things said out of Hollywood. But there are some clients that have always struck me as odd. Harley Pasternak has also had a lot of clients who have died, in strange circumstances. Brittany Murphy, do you remember her? She died back in 2009, collapsed in the bathroom of her home, and she was found unconscious. She was then transported to the hospital. She was extremely young when she died. The autopsy results say that she died of pneumonia and iron deficiency. Okay. Pasternak claimed that Brittany's husband, who then died shortly thereafter as well, had hired him to work with Brittany Murphy. So that's interesting. Then Mac Miller, I don't know if you remember, the 26-year-old rapper who died also of an accidental drug overdose. Pasternak had told Page Six that he was just about to see Miller. Miller was just about to walk into his studio on the day that he died. He said, quote, "I was mid-session with someone expecting him to show up about 45 minutes later. One of the ladies who works with me walked in with a kind of blank look on her face and held up her phone, and there was the news release about Miller's death." And then there's Aaron Carter, to connect the dots with you, because this one has always bothered me the most. On the very day that Kanye West tweeted out Harley Pasternak's tweets, Aaron Carter responded to Kanye West. You can see that date on November 3rd, responded to that text message that Kanye shared, and he said, "Yo, Kanye, let's talk man to man." They never had the opportunity to talk because less than 48 hours later, Aaron Carter was found dead. He died at his home in Lancaster, California, at the age of 34, and his body was found in a bathtub by his housekeeper. And the LA County Medical Examiner's coroner, and you guys know if you're reading Chaos, that what they rule these deaths means absolutely nothing compared to what the facts are, said that it was just accidental. He drowned after he wanted to speak to Kanye West about the Harvey Pasternak text messages. Harley Pasternak, pardon me. Quite stunning stuff, quite amazing stuff. So I wanted to share that with you because it has bothered me spiritually that people continue to attack Kanye and to attack him and to call him crazy without listening to his version of events that he has told many times about who and what made him crazy, who hospitalized him, threatened him, and gave him a cocktail of medicine. Like I said, when you read that book, you understand that Jolly West, quite literally, as a part of a CIA program, said that they had successfully found a cocktail of drugs which could give people mental illnesses. If they needed them to forget something, they needed them to stop doing something, they could just give them a cocktail of drugs and that would be over. And now I would like to draw your attention to Harley Pasternak's 2019 interview that he gave to Escape Fitness discussing his military training and the impact of drugs for the military. Take a listen.
And the area that I was interested in was how drugs and food affect muscular performance. And
when you say drugs, was that like performance-enhancing drugs, or are they
all
just
kinds of drugs?
Oh, right. Okay.
So working for the military, I wasn't governed by the same laws that the typical person was. So I could look at the impact of certain drugs that are not everyday things. So we looked at a drug called modafinil, which was for narcoleptics. So if you give a soldier this drug, how long could they stay awake for without having any health detriment?
Is that used now as one of these brain drugs? I've heard the name before somewhere.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. Modafinil, it will keep you awake, but it's not a stimulant.
Really?
So if a special forces person has to stay awake for 3 nights waiting for the right opportunity to do whatever they have to do, we could give them modafinil and it would keep them alert.
So if you want to know who I believe is a monster, Harley Pasternak would be that individual. And as I said, I think that Ye barely escaped with his life. And I will always view him and deem him to be a survivor. And I will always deeply respect that he has come out and he has spoken about what happened to him. And if people would stop mocking him and actually start listening to what he says happened to him, we might be able to unwind a lot of the evil that has been going on in Hollywood since it was established. That's all I'm going to say about that topic. All right, you guys, you know that I always encourage you to support Preborn because you have people like Andrea Bocelli, Steph Curry, Justin Bieber, Tim Tebow, all who were born to mothers who were encouraged to end their pregnancies, because when a woman faces an unplanned pregnancy, she's often pressured to end her child's life. She wants to make the right choice, but society and those around her are telling her the baby's not a life. That's where the Ministry of Preborn steps in. Preborn and their network of clinics offers compassionate, loving care to mothers and the support they need to help them choose life, including a free ultrasound. Because once a mother hears her child's heartbeat, she is twice as likely to choose life. If you consider yourself to be pro-life, it's time to join forces with Preborn. Together, we can empower women to choose life. Empowering the truth of motherhood transforms families and futures. One ultrasound is just $28, and $140 will help to rescue 5 babies. When you donate monthly, you'll receive stories and pictures of the lives that you helped to save. Donate, you just dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. Again, that's pound 250 baby, or you can donate securely at preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. Also, you guys know that I use Pure Talk. If there are 2 things in life that are certain, it's death and taxes. And now there seems to be a third, which is that if you're with Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile, you could be saving a fortune every month by switching to Pure Talk. Pure Talk, which is my cell phone company, is cutting the fat from the wireless industry for just $25 a month. You can get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data on America's most dependable 5G network. The average family of 4 saves over $1,000 a year when they make the switch to Pure Talk, and that is real money back in your pocket. And with Pure Talk's U.S. customer service team, you can switch hassle-free in as little as 10 minutes. You can even keep your phone and your phone number right now by going to puretalk.com/Owens to make the switch, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Owens to start saving today. Pure Talk, wireless by Americans for Americans. All right, by the way, guys, I wanted to show you this just as we are speaking about the MK Ultra program, which we spoke about yesterday, and Saran and reading the Chaos book, and so much is coming out with the JFK files, RFK, which, by the way, Instagram took down my video of us reading the testimony of, what was it, Paul Schade. I might be saying his last name wrong. Paul Schade, 91 years old, speaking about what happened when he was shot, how he does not believe Saran shot him, went over how actually RFK was shot from behind. They took that down and hit me yesterday. And I'm going, why? Why is that happening? And this is just a really interesting excerpt of Saran saying that he doesn't remember what happened that day. And I will tell you afterwards what an attorney said about the hypnosis program, which we know was real. It is just an absolute American biographical fact that in the 60s, they were working on these mass drugging and hypnosis programs, which I believe are still in place today in Hollywood. But this is Saran at his parole hearing.
What do you remember about the shooting, if you're willing to talk about that?
I was there, but I don't remember the exact moment. I don't remember pulling my gun out of my body or whatever it was located, and I don't remember aiming it at any human being. I don't remember any of that, Mr. Prismic. And I've said that from the get-go.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not that I'm trying to evade.
No, I understand. Let me just ask you a question. When did you start remembering things after the shooting? What was the first thought that you had after the shooting?
Everything was always hazy in my head about that. And Attorney Teeter, who passed away, was trying to get a specialist, Dr. Herbert Spiegel in New York, to hypnotize me and to regress me and to do all that.
But when did you start remembering things clearly after the shooting?
I really don't remember things clearly about it.
His lawyer, Saran's lawyer, said thereafter, I must correct the record about hypnosis in the Saran case. Herbert Spiegel, doctor, a New York psychiatrist and world-renowned expert on hypnosis who teaches at Columbia University, has concluded that Saran was probably programmed through hypnosis to fire a gun in the presence of Senator Robert F. Kennedy without knowing what he was doing and without being able to recall either the events or the process of being programmed. I am continuing to advance Dr. Spiegel's conclusions in currently pending federal habeas corpus proceedings on Saran's behalf. Saran has consistently maintained that he cannot recall the assassination and has no memory of being programmed. Most of the books about the RFK case support the Manchurian candidate defense. This defense was not presented at Saran's trial. Instead, the late Grant Cooper, Saran's trial attorney, told the jury that Saran was a paranoid schizophrenic. A diagnosis that Dr. Spiegel maintains is contradicted by the defendant's high level of hypnotizability. I find that to be fascinating as well, because we do often see, and it makes me, again, I'm attaching this here just thinking about the Kanye thing, where they're like, he's schizophrenic, he's this. Well, I mean, guys, look into the MKUltra program. They could quite literally give people schizophrenia, give people these sorts of behavioral traits. And there was just so much money given into that program. Most of what we even know about the program is so limited because they destroyed the majority of the files. And just what we do know is so unbelievably sinister. It's terrifying. I think a lot of these Hollywood stars are subjected to this. There's so many of them that just go crazy. And we're just like, what happened? Teen. And all of a sudden they start speaking about something or speaking about an experience that happened to them, and they all go crazy. And they're all drugged all of a sudden, you know? Anyways, just wanted to tag that onto what we were discussing yesterday. Another thing I want to get to is Trump, okay? Listen, I get it. People are going to be crazy because people are tribal. I'm just not. And I understand now, like, you know, you can be right or left, or you can just be with God. And to be with God means Christ is king, which means truth is king. And you have to stay consistent. I kind of made my name on fighting BLM. Like I did, I think you would say in politics. Some people hated me because I stood up to my own race and said that this is getting ridiculous. The books that were coming out, it's not enough to be racist. You have to be actively anti-racist. And then what happened beyond that was not people trying to fight racism, but actually demanding racial supremacy, demanding that you must hire a Black person or 5 Black people, even if they're underqualified, and the white person is better, because this is just the pursuit of equality, which is not. Of course, that's racism. Like, we don't need to go back to a situation where this country is racist. We need equal opportunity under the law and let the better person win. I believe in a meritocracy. And I sat at a hearing on white supremacy, and that hearing went viral. And I stood up and I said, this is not right. This is wrong. And you was basically maimed and caricatured in the media as a person who hated my own race, because I was saying that I will never accept racial supremacy. I will never accept ethnic supremacy, even if it's Black people, even if it's my own people. Okay. I just won't accept it. That's just the reality. And now we're arriving at that exact same thing happening. It's not happening under Biden. It's not happening under Obama. It's happening under Trump. Okay. And it is under the guise of fighting anti-Semitism on college campuses, and that this is an epidemic. And you've got the Human Health Secretary, RFK Jr., saying, oh, we have to declare this an epidemic. And what we're really talking about is people voicing opinions against Israel's policies on blowing up Palestinian kids. You can accept that or you cannot accept that. It is just the reality. And if you don't understand how close we are inching to them destroying free speech, and once speech goes, everything else goes, then you need to start paying attention. They are redefining anti-Semitism to even be parts of the Bible. They are saying that it is anti-Semitism, and the Trump administration is pushing this on college campuses, to even suggest that a Jewish person might be more loyal to Israel than they are to America. That's totally plausible. It's totally plausible that a Black person in America might be more loyal to Uganda than they are to America. Like, that is like, why are we redefining this? Portions of the Bible. I mean, it's getting crazy. So I want to show you this Senate hearing. So they had another Senate hearing, like the one that I showed up on, except this one, it was on anti-Semitism on college campuses. And I want you to listen to what this rabbi got up and said as he called for hate speech laws. Okay, this is Rabbi Levi Shemtov. He is the executive vice president of American Friends of Lubavitch. This is like a Lubavitcher who I spoke about. And RFK Jr. came and said, don't speak about Lubavitch. And I said, this is actually a very radical form of Judaism. Here is what he said. Listen to him standing up, Rabbi Levi Shemtov. Here's what he wants for America.
Anti-Semitism is not just an age-old prejudice. It is a contemporary crisis manifesting on campuses across the nation. It is not enough for individuals or institutions to merely claim they are not anti-Semitic. As my father once taught me, it is not enough for people, especially public figures, to be neutral or not be anti-Semitic. One must be anti-Semitic.
That is the exact same rhetoric, okay, as Ibram X. Kendi during the peak of BLM saying it's not enough to be racist, you have to actively be anti-racist. It's the exact same rhetoric, okay? There's no way to slice it. So Matt Walsh, who works for the Daily Wire, obviously recognized that immediately and said this is a page right out of the BLM playbook. The same rhetoric, almost word for word, right? Everyone should be appalled. But don't worry, Joel Berry at the Babylon Bee is not. Talk about a Trojan horse in an organization that nobody should support. I mean, if you do not understand what they are doing, trying to pretend that they are on the conservative side, they are not. Okay, they are softening stuff and pretending that it's different. They are calling for ethnic supremacy here. Okay, Joe Berry responds and says this to Matt Walsh, except BLM used the phrase very differently. For them, anti-racism wasn't about being against racism. It represented a full-blown color revolution designed to dismantle the West and institute racist DEI policies. That's clearly not how the rabbi is using the word here, don't you think? That doesn't seem clear to me at all, unless you're just an ethnic supremacist, unless you just truly believe. I mean, it's literally word for word. It's just like it's word for word what BLM said. It's not enough. You have to be anti the thing. So what is happening right now that we, meaning the people who voted for and have supported Trump for years and got him into office because we actually were standing up to him when BLM was going crazy and calling everybody white supremacists, and people, while Trump was in office, there were George Floyd riots, people that stood up for him and said this is wrong, are now watching his administration execute the exact same thing, but this time it's for anti-Semitism. And it's not even for anti-Semitism, really. It's because this is not helpful to Jews in America. It's for Israel. Like, it feels like Netanyahu is running the White House and Trump's just signing and doing whatever they say, right? It feels like Netanyahu should be sitting in the Oval Office as they demand hate speech laws and they get what they want. Every day they're announcing something that they're going to do to further support Israel. And that something is now looking to me like a detriment to American freedom. And if you can't see that, okay, it is time for you to take off the rose-colored glasses. Because just because Trump was against all of this in 2016 does not mean that he does not have people that are around him who are for this now that we are in 2025. And I won't tolerate it. If I had the courage to stand up to my race when they were saying these things, I will be damned if you think that I don't have enough courage to stand up to ethnic supremacy as it is now again coming into the country under the guise of hatred for Jews, when in fact it's hatred for Bibi Netanyahu routinely blowing up children and us being told that we're not allowed to speak about it. Anyways, you guys, I want to tell you about 7 Weeks Coffee because it's great. It's America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to fund the pro-life movement, one cup of coffee at a time. Why are they called 7 weeks? Because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. They have raised over $800,000 for these centers and have saved thousands of lives. And I can tell you now about the coffee. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low-acid, and organically farmed, so it will check all the boxes for you. And right now, when you subscribe to 7 Weeks Coffee, you'll get a free 2-pack of their new single-serve brew bags to take your coffee wherever life takes you. Whether you're traveling, working, or adventuring, you can easily enjoy a rich, flavorful cup of coffee by adding hot water and letting the to-go bag steep for a few minutes. So go to 7weekscoffee.com and save 15% forever when you subscribe. Plus, exclusively for my listeners, if you use code Candace, you'll get an extra 10% off your first order. That's a 25% total savings on your first order. Visit 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace today. Also, I always tell you guys about American Financing. I obviously don't know your financial situation, but I know thousands of homeowners who speak to American Financing every month speak about how much of a struggle they're going through, barely making ends meet, drowning in high interest debt. And it's not their fault because life did indeed get more expensive with inflation. If you're carrying around a credit card balance with 20% plus interest rates while your mortgage sits untouched, you are ignoring the one thing that could possibly turn it all around for you, which is your home. And this is where American Financing can help if you would trade 10 minutes of your time for a shot at saving an average of $800 every single month. That's exactly what homeowners are doing when they call American Financing. It's a simple, no obligation phone call, and it could change everything for you. They have a team of salary-based mortgage consultants, so there isn't any incentive to put you into a loan that doesn't make sense for you. And there are no upfront fees to find out how much you could be saving. So do not wait. Talk to American Financing today and start feeling that relief. Call 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210, or you can visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. Again, that's americanfinancing.net/Owens. All right, you guys, let's get to some of your comments. I first wanted to mention, I had a conversation with Olivia Nuzzi. Those of you that were following me and the back forth with Jessica Reed Krause, who goes by House in Habit. I don't know what to think about her. I really don't. And I'm not going to pretend I know what to think about her. I think she is a woman of many secrets. I will say that she, of everyone that I've spoken to in the House in Habit saga, was the most collected, and she's smart, and she is, didn't get to where she got to in life by being a dummy. Her life is very interesting, from, working with Uma Abedin and Hillary Clinton, or rather Anthony Weiner. She, as an intern, she was an intern for Anthony Weiner, all the way to being engaged to, for some time, a guy who was a big player in DC, who was a lot older than her, to, this sexting affair with RFK Jr., which ended her engagement. She's a clever one. That's what I will say. And I just want to make clear that when she spoke to me, she didn't deny the fact that those messages were real, and that her friend, who people didn't even know she was friends with, Jessica Reed Krause, had asked her to overview that hit piece on me, wanted her to take a look at it. And when she took a look at it, she, someone who is experienced journalism, said, you can get sued for libel. You can get sued for libel if you post this in its current state. And she offered to help make changes to it so that it was a clean shot, as we all saw, And then obviously, what comes next. That feedback was then given to Emily Hagan. Emily Hagan then said, I want to pull the article, and the article never happened. For some reason, she said some people are under the impression that she did edit the article. She never got to the stage of editing the article, obviously. And I am still not clear on her relationship with House and Habit. I'm even less clear on why, if they are just friends, why that friendship had to be kept a secret, why she had to protect her, delete Olivia's name from text messages that she was sharing while she was willing to go after her friend of 14 years. She was very protective of Olivia. And like I said, she seems like she just has a lot of secrets, and I don't know what those secrets are. I'm getting a ton of emails from all of you guys about her, RFK Jr., and we have just begun going through them. So there will be a follow-up to all of this, but I want my follow-up to not be a gossip column and to be a factual column, because that's the work that I do. I care about researching, and I want to make sure that I'm not just, giving you guys theories here that I can't back up with actual information that I've confirmed. So I will leave that on that. All right. Okay. My producer here just gave me a note. He said the RFK video is still up on Instagram. They took down our JFK video connecting JFK to AIPAC and Israel's nuclear reactor. Yeah, that's all a fact. It's like literally a fact. It's been declassified, so that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. AIPAC has a lot of power. They'll definitely have a hand in at Facebook. Okay. Also, guys, speaking of all of this, we have book club tonight. We get now into the CIA. We get into Reeve Whitson. We get into the chapter of Connecting the Dots, Dr. Jolly West, which we've been speaking about all this week. We really get to kind of wrap up this book and think about some of these bigger themes right before we jump into our next book, which is going to be Hollywood Babylon, because you're going to realize, like I said, the CIA has always had control in Hollywood, and there have always been people that were intentionally given drug cocktails, people that were killed without question. And Kenneth Anger's book, speaking about the occult elements, is incredibly interesting because the occult just keeps coming up in all of these books. And like I said, this is American biographical content. This stuff is not fake. And if you think it's fake, it's time for you to wake up. Evil is abound, my friends. Okay, Sarah writes, wait, they want all those private messages with someone not directly involved and the details are crazy. Yeah, I'm just like, what do you think that you're going to get from my messages that you're not going to get from Kanye himself? Like, it just seems crazy. It feels like they just are drafting me into things. I feel like someone's playing a game with me. I'm just being punked at the end of pregnancy. Just so you guys know, now that we're in April, we're never doing a Friday show in April because I'm trying to slow it down now up until birth. And so we don't even have that many episodes left. And I'm just wondering how many more times a server processor is going to show up on my doorstep from now until then. Jessica Chapa writes, Candace, watch the movie Blonde about Marilyn Monroe. There's a scene in the movie where I believe there was MK Ultra disclosure. It describes it as hypnosis session for acting classes or such. Interestingly enough, Marilyn Monroe does come up in Hollywood Babylon, I believe. And it's interesting because, yeah, what you were told about her death is not exactly accurate. The crime scene is not exactly accurate. Abigail writes, have you considered expanding your channel with more people? Have you considered taking a seat in the White House briefings? We would love to see answers to some of the questions about Israel. No, because they would never, I don't believe they'd ever give a White House pass to people that were not pro-Israel at the moment. Like I said, he is surrounding himself with some interesting people who genuinely believe. I mean, the fact that he yesterday promoted Randy Fine for office, and Randy Fine literally laughed at a dead picture of a Palestinian child in the rubble. I should have pulled that for today's episode, but he basically, somebody was like, how do you sleep knowing that you're calling for this, like the genocide of Palestinians and everyone in Gaza? And it's a picture of literally an infant in the rubble. And he replies and says, I sleep well. Thank you for sharing this photo. Absolutely nuts, insane. And Trump is like, let's get this man into office and endorsing that. It's crazy. The question writes, Candace, would you be willing to sit with Eric Weinstein and talk about Israel and anti-Semitism? Nope, because Eric Weinstein is a liar. I have experience with him and Kanye. Do not trust Eric Weinstein, that whole little orbit. He is not someone that should be trusted. I could tell you a lot more about him and my experience with him and his brother, but you should not trust those two people. And they are part of trying to neocon control people's minds by pretending that they're legitimate and trying to intellectualize things. It's kind of the Jordan Peterson jumping on a report and trying to make it like a scientific study to talk about Christ as king. I see right through Eric Weinstein. I have zero interest in wasting my time speaking to him ever again. LG19 writes, let's not fool ourselves. War is on the agenda. Absolutely. If that's what Bibi Netanyahu wants, what Bibi wants, Bibi gets. AIPAC, Israel, and everyone blackmailed are attacking everyone, even their own citizens, for exposing them. What country does not have a Rothschild bank? Russia, Iran. Yes, and we seem to be wanting to go to war with both of them. Jeanette Garabian writes, drug-induced schizophrenia, often referred to as substance-induced psychotic disorder or drug-induced psychosis, occurs when substance use triggers schizophrenic-like symptoms such as hallucinations and delusions. Thank you for sharing that. Free Men Die Free writes, the Trump admin selling out to Israel means that libertarians like Thomas Massey and Dave Smith are the future, as they've proven that they won't sell out. I agree. I love Thomas Massey, and I absolutely love Dave Smith. You are absolutely correct. Fantastic. And they are routinely under attack all the time, and they hold the line. Brave people. Brian Schwartz writes, it'll be all right, Candace. Christ is king, full of grace, mercy, and truth. The Lord is concerned how his creation destroys itself. Thank you so much. And I will remind you guys, if you'd like to support my journalistic efforts, I'm never selling out. Don't worry. I'm here for the fight. I'm here until the bitter end, wanting to make America an actually free country, a no longer occupied country. And I hope that I've proven that to you guys over the last couple of years, certainly over the last year. And if you'd like to support us, you can go to CandaceOwens.com. You can sign up for a subscription. You can join the book club. We meet tonight. What time do we meet? I don't see it on here. 6 p.m. Eastern. So I'll see you guys very shortly. I have a 1-hour break, and then I'll be back on. And you can also just buy some merch, which is great. The anti-feminist merch is dope. We just have to admit, this just looks good. You know you want this. This looks very good. As we await my upcoming book, you can buy a book or you can just donate on the website. So anyways, you guys, I'm here because of you guys, and your prayers have kept me safe. We will see you guys tomorrow.